use the auto split on his probes, but we are now here and spawning in the bottom right position as the green Protoss player coming in from Evil Geniuses, currently down 0-1 in this best of 3 series. It is HuK. And spawning in the top left position as the red Zerg player from Quantic Gaming, it is Hyun. So we saw a pretty nice setup for Hyun. He held off the aggression with not really much difficulty. This is a map that will favor his style a little bit more, I think. But it will also favor HuK's a bit more. It's a lot easier to secure a third base on Akilon Wastes as compared to the previous maps that we've seen so far today. And that's really big because it can kind of give him an option to do something other than Nate Gate. Although, I don't know. HuK just really... I said HuK. It's like I accidentally just combined their names. But HuK really seems to just favor the big gateway aggression in this matchup. We rarely see him do anything else. He is going to build a fast forge, though. He could potentially be anticipating that there's a fast hatchery from Hyun, but that is not the case on this map. Hyun will be opening up with that spawning pool at about, I think it was 14, 15 supply. So he's not going to be vulnerable to the cannon rush. We did see Hearthstone try to force a weird cannon rush versus Bly on this map yesterday in the Russian Starleague, but that didn't really work out very well at all. So I would not be surprised. And HuK's actually just going to just block this drone. So one of the things that actually the hatchery starts scratched. I was going to say one of the things some players like to do is just throw down a pylon to block that if they do open with the forge, but HuK is just going to get his Nexus, then he'll get his cannon. Slightly delayed expansion, but it's actually not a big deal at all because Hyun also is getting his expansion at pretty much the same time. Hyun, no. Okay, he's okay. We had an issue yesterday. The people at the EG house... Actually, I think HuK is in the EG place in Arizona because their lease isn't up or something. But... yeah, the internet connection dropped out. It was actually offline for 2 whole hours. Thorzane was unable to play his RSL match because of that against Hearthstone. But yeah, pretty standard setups here. So, nothing really unusual. Some people asked a little bit earlier about some more information about the Russian Starleague and how exactly some of the formats, the prize pool is being determined. So once we get into the later stages of the tournament, we are going to see the prize pool pretty much is $1,000 for first place, $2,000 for second, $1,000 for third place, and $500 for fourth place. So big prize money, and of course there's $300 to the bottom 3 from everyone going from 5th place to 8th place, and the audience also actually gets to vote for the best game, which throws another $300 towards one of these players. So it's really cool, awesome support here for these players doing this StarCraft thing full time. And as far as the playoff format goes, we start off with the round of 16, starts on Monday. Those are all going to be best of 3. And then the quarterfinals are going to be best of 5. The semifinals also best of 5, and the finals will be a best of 7 with a best of 5 third place determination match prior to that. So there's a lot more awesome games coming up in this tournament. We had a pretty nice distribution of races as we started off the tournament. We began with 10 Protoss players, 9 Terrans, and 13 Zergs. Currently in the round of 16, we have 2 Protoss players, 5 Terrans, and 7 Zergs. Of course, that hasn't not been fully determined just yet, because we do have a very even group actually today. We have a very even group as far as races go. 2 Zerg players in Hyun and Gosu User, as well as 1 Protoss and 1 Terran. Those being, of course, HuK and MMA. So anything's possible to even things up. Protoss players not really having too much luck in this tournament, but I think we've had a lot of strong Zerg showing. Some of these Zerg players very known in the scene. Vortex, I would say, pretty expected for him to make it out of his group with Cats, Titan, and Bomber. Rhett, of course, had a nice showing at the start of Heart of the Storm. Nothing really crazy recently. And, of course, Life which I think could be the favorite to take this out. Really surprised to see that Polt could not make it out of his group with Scarlet and Symbol. But anyway, going back to this game a little bit, we do have Phoenix production on the way for HuK. So this looks very similar to how we opened in the previous map. The real question is, how many gateways is he going to go up to? Building the third and fourth assimilator does hint that HuK will not be going for some kind of super huge gateway all-in, or if he does, it'll be quite late and it'll be very upgrade and sentry heavy. Since it's just the Stargate for now, we could see HuK try to take a third base behind this. I think that would catch Hyun off guard since since HuK is known for that gateway aggression. But Hyun is doing something that we usually only see out of Hyun, and that is just going for the lair. He has the 4 gas geysers. He's going to take this fourth base, but there's no Roach Warren. All he has is the spawning pool. In fact, he doesn't even have Zergling speed. He's going to build a Hydralisk Den as soon as this layer is done, and that's pretty much what Hyun is going to stick with. Just tons and tons of Hydralisks, because he knows that HuK likes the gateway compositions, and gateway units just falter so hard. He will get a Roach Warren, of course, for good measure, and he's actually making 30 Hyun, if you're going to make that many Lings... Okay, there. Zergling speed is now starting. It's quite late. He's going to have 36 slow Lings, which is kind of funny to see. He's preparing for this little bit of gateway pressure that will be coming his way, and a really fast infestation pit. So we could see actually Hyun go for something that he did versus, I believe it was Hero, in the recent MLG Summer Championship, or Spring Championship, excuse me, where he pretty much just went straight for a fast hive. Something that Hyun loves to do is the stupidly fast Roach Hydra Viper, and he just completely plays so greedy. And the thing is, he's kind of scattered out what HuK is up to. He's like, okay, well, he's not going to hit me before 10 minutes. So, especially since he's taking this third base now, and I don't think, did he scout that third? No, he did not. But this is just going to allow him, yeah, there's that hive starting at 9.5 minutes. We saw him do this versus Hero. He's getting the Hydralisk Den as well. We have double Spore Crawler at each base, and that Hyun does whenever he scouts Stargate. Hyun is one of the actually very few players that always goes double Spore. He never goes single Spore Crawler. He just refuses to take any damage, and actually, uncharacteristically, this Queen will get caught out of position. HuK gets a nice scoop and score there on the Queen. Very sexy pickup. And just trying to shove these units away as long as he can. Now, of course, Hyun does have a Ling here. He knows about this third base, so he's well aware. And HuK, he's got all the scouting information that he wants too, especially about this really fast hive. Now, I think HuK's realizing, okay, I need to get a robotics bay. The problem is this really fast hive from Hyun will allow him to get such fast Vipers that Colossi aren't going to do anything. He can just abduct them straight into the army, and that's just kind of what Zerg players do. And that's one of the reasons why you've seen some Protoss players recently, like Stardust or Todd, favor Colossi-less compositions. In fact, we even saw Harsum refuse to make a robotics facility in the last, in yesterday's group stage. So, a lot of Protoss players are scared of the Viper, but HuK, he will go for Colossi. He's feeling confident. 13 Hydralisks are on the way, and these Phoenix are just kind of poking away. They're like picking up random stray Zerglings. They're just trying to make the most of their presence, the most of their time on this Earth. But the Hydra's actually getting quite close to these. Picks off one of the Hydras. Nice catch there for HuK. Any kills that you can get there is nice. Hydras are expensive. Oh, almost catches a Zergling under that rock tower. The game's AI actually won't let you walk under this, but as it falls. But if you force field or block the units in, then, well, there's nothing you can really do. So HuK has this third base, and the question is, where does he go from here? Adding on a second robotics facility, which is fine. Getting a Templar Archives. This is a very important addition. The Templar Archives, the High Templar with feedback, is arguably the best counter to the Viper right now. There's not much else you can do. And Hyun is actually going to go for Enduring Locusts. He wants to go from the Roach Hydra Viper, or even just a Hydra Viper, into Swarm Hosts. And I like this decision. It will, because you could almost say it will be walking into the counter that is the Colossi, which will not only counter the Hydralisk play, but also the Swarm Host. But with good Viper control, it doesn't even matter. These Phoenix, however, might have something to say about that, trying to get a couple pokes off on these Vipers. If you could pick one of these off, that would be absolutely huge, but with these Spore Crawlers, it's simply not going to happen. And HuK might actually lose one of these Phoenix. Nope. Phoenix actually pretty damn durable versus Spore Crawlers. But the Hydras are also going to be able to protect those. Hyun now adding on his fifth base. If HuK can't get a fourth, and I think that's going to be a big point of contention in this match, is whether HuK can get his fourth base. And it's, you know, on the last map it was could he get his third, because it was so hard to get one. But in this map it's the fourth base that you really want to be able to secure. And even then, the fourth base isn't terribly hard to get on this map. But Hyun being quite active now. He's just going to start working away at these units, and the Templar are going to come out. He doesn't have Storm just yet, but he wants to keep the Templar in front so he can feed back the Vipers. He really cannot afford to let these Colossi be abducted, and there. The Vipers are trying to poke in a little bit. We did have what looked to be a bit of a Zealot run by or something like that, get picked off by these Swarm Hosts. And now HuK should know that they're Swarm Hosts. He knows he needs Colossi. He needs great control from these Templar, and Hyun, he's just kind of chipping away. He's like, okay, yeah, I can lose a Hydra here or there. I'm just going to pick off a gateway, just slowly whittle away your wall. Loses another Hydralisk. Keep in mind, though, a Hydralisk is actually worth about as much or more than a gateway. So their Hydras are like 75 minerals, like 25 gas. I always like look at gas as being worth twice as much as minerals. But Psionic Storm is about to complete, which will be quite nice for dealing with these Hydras. The Ling's already going to deny these pylons. We do have a War Prism for HuK headed over into the main base, but there are two Vipers here. There's a Queen, a lot of these Swarm Hosts, and HuK just pulls away. A very smart play. He's just going to bide his time, wait for a better opportunity to run in with that. And he has a Zealot just running through here, which is also kind of nice to see. Keeping the pressure up. +3 attack is about to finish. No charge yet. Could end up hurting HuK, but he has a very powerful army composition. And if he can get just one really good engagement here versus these Vipers, I think he could very easily take this game. HuK starting to move out across the map. And of course, he's going to be able to pick off the creep tumors here and there. He just needs to make sure he doesn't overextend himself. That's the big thing to avoid doing. These these locusts, they do get the speed boost on the creep. So one of the things that HuK wants to do is clear out the creep tumors. Ooh, those Lings almost catch a Colossus. But HuK wants to clear out the creep tumors so that the Swarm Hosts cannot move these locusts quite as fast. Ooh, that probe. He's going to throw out a pylon, but ooh, he almost died too. He's walking through that field of gore. And this War Prism is going to finally start moving in. There's, one Spore. Because a couple shots off. The second Spore gets some hits. Is it going to be able to make it into the main? He's moving the main army out. These wave of locusts. Ooh, dangerously cheesy. And now he's moving in towards the main. Where is he going to go? There's so many Spore Crawlers here. The Hydra's entering as well. Will HuK get the Warpins that he needs? No, the Hydras do catch that War Prism, and HuK gets shut down. This wave of locusts will be chewed up as well by the evil geniuses. Protoss, he's stepping forward. These locusts, they're trying to do a run by, but they're just not fast enough. And now it looks like HuK wants to press in. The storm's dropping on the locust. He's trying to push through this force. Most of the Hydras are not here. He abducts a Colossus, but there's just not enough to actually kill it off. It will be able to make it back towards the rear of the army, surviving to die another day. And there goes all the energy on the Vipers. He actually cannot use any more abducts. HuK is pressing forward into this army of Hyun. He's doing massive amounts of damage. Where is the Observer? Oh, where's the Observer? You don't see it on this army here. He cannot kill the Swarm Hosts. These Corruptors are going to just kill off these Colossi. He's not getting the damage that he needs. And, ooh, so many Swarm Hosts. All these Stalkers will die. HuK losing his Observer, potentially losing him this game here, as all of his Colossi are now horribly exposed. And now these Swarm Hosts, most of them are still alive. They've taken some damage from the storms, but they weren't killed off. These Stalkers do come up to defend, but not before HuK loses all but 2 of his Colossi. He now has 2 more available, but he did get the 4th base up. He's doing everything that he can to stay in this game, and HuK, we're seeing much better play out of him this map than the last one. But Hyun has just been on fire recently. He's so damn good at this game. We saw him take 2nd place at the recent MLG Spring Championships. He's really just been on fire lately. And, you know, he's always been classically good in this matchup, but HuK, he is giving him, he's giving him what for, and now these Swarm Hosts will burrow outside of the 3rd base, throwing out those Locusts. The Lings trying to catch these Zealots, not bad. The Lings, of course, with the 2-2, the Zealots with the +3 will 2-shot those Lings until Hyun gets the +3-3. But the Locusts are just going to be quite a pain as well. And we see HuK throwing up a lot of pylons. He wants to keep his reinforcement points up. He's rebuilt a lot of the Colossus count. He does now have as well a couple more Templar. I don't think it's a bad idea to mix in an Archon for some splash versus Corruptors, but these Zealots getting into quite a brawl against these Lings, really just slicing and dicing their way through. We see that +3 attack pay off with huge dividends here as HuK does chew up all of those lings. The reinforcements, though, should be enough to clean these up. And these swarm hosts are just slowly but surely trying to chew their way through this army. Now, the question is, will Hyun try to bring the swarm host back to defend? Will he just accept this sort of base tradey setup? And I don't think it's honestly the best idea for Hyun to do that. I think we're going to see these swarm hosts get rallied back. Yes, there they go. We have a lot of lings, but Colossi with +3 attack, one-shot lings. No problemo. One wave of those laser beams will clear out pretty much almost all of them, in all honesty. And now here the lings do run in, trying to get on top of the Colossi, but they just die so fast. The storm's dropping on top of the Corruptors. The Locusts hit the Colossi from the east side, and there's just so much damage output here for Hyun. HuK needs to keep these Stalkers alive to protect this Colossus, but all the Colossi are now dead, and Hyun is doing so much damage. The problem is he still has all of those swarm hosts, and now the Stalker's just trying to do everything possible to try to buy him some sort of edge in this game. But Hyun, he's got so much money. He's almost banking Oprah money here, or at least Facebook money with how much units he has, blinking some of these Stalkers back, just trying to hide from these lings as long as possible, doing that micro, trying to use that control. And he's bought himself some time, sure, but he needs to take out these bases. Hyun, look at this, he's got 8 spine crawlers. He's like, yeah, just try to run some zealots in here. These Stalkers, though, blinking in towards this base. There's so much static defense up for the Quantic Zerg player. HuK is having such a hard time finding anywhere where he can actually penetrate these defenses. Moving back, and he's just going to corner himself inside this base. There is no escape from these swarm hosts. He has been locked into a deal with death, and all of these Stalkers will die. He's going to try to nimbly maneuver his way out of there. That wave of Locust dies. He might be able to pick off the spine and blink out a few of these Stalkers, but he'd rather go for the drones. And these Zealots, man, they take away half these, man, not even half these spine crawlers. And now there's just, Hyun's just like, nope, I'm just going to make more, man. I've got a lot of money to spend. And these Stalkers, they will die. HuK behind this. He does have more Colossi. He has more Templar. He still has the units that he needs. And surprisingly, the supply is still pretty close. More Zealots are going to be thrown at this base. If he can get in here before these additional spine crawlers finish up, he might be able to shut this base down. But oh, Hyun, so smart, rallying a wave of Locust. And that will just, one wave of Locust will just eat all these Zealots up like it's, I don't know. I'm not going to make a dinner reference because Zealots probably don't taste that good. But now the creep is outside of the 4th base of HuK. Stepping outside, he's going to be spotted immediately. Does he have an observer with his army this time around? I think it's so important. You know, he almost had the game earlier on, if not for that sniped observer by the Corruptors. And another Zealot run by is going to be sent around the map. And these swarm hosts, look at this Hyun. He's, you know, it's like he's repositioning siege tanks here. He's just boxing out the army of HuK. He's not able to get anywhere in here. He's the center blocking this point guard. And now these Zealots are going to try to bust through these rocks, but man, rocks are so hard to kill. And now these swarm hosts, these Locusts, just going to nom nom all over these Zealots. Hyun will be able to max out at the same time. The Greater Spire on the way, more Vipers, more Queens, more Corruptors. And that's, well, Hyun, he's in a fantastic position. And now the Observer finally out for HuK. I think he's going to want to get at least maybe 2 or 3 observers because at this point, they're so easy to snipe off for Hyun. And, okay, he actually does have 3 observers, excuse me. But the Colossi are going to start to chew away at these Locusts, doing what they can. We got some changelings in here for Hyun as well. Doesn't manage to pick those off. There's so many changelings, and Hyun just loves to do this, you know, just messing around with those changelings. You know, best case scenario, you get some scouting. Worst case scenario, you get some scouting. Best case scenario, your opponent accidentally kills one of his own units. We've all been there before. 5th base starting up for HuK. If he can secure this base, he can still keep this game going, but swarm hosts are just so cost effective. All these Archons that are morphing get caught out of position. Oh, that sucks. That wave of Locusts thankfully taking out this army, moving in towards the left side. The Storms are going to drop onto these Corruptors. The Colossi count is still intact. There's a lot of Storms available, but does he have enough firepower to kill all of these Corruptors off? Still a lot of the Colossi falling. There's not much left to tank for them. Oh, and these Corruptors are continuing to press forward. The Vipers are here as well. He can still use the Abduct. These Archons do morph. And I think the Archons are really nice to have. They do so much damage versus the Corruptors. The splash damage especially being under them. I feel like HuK's kind of underutilized them this game just a little bit, but he's doing a bang-up job now of staying in this fight. He does have a very powerful army as long as he can keep his Colossus count up. If he loses all of his Colossi again, I don't think he'll have any chance of winning this game, but so far, so good. Big problem coming in now, though. We have, no, not the Overseers, not the 10 Overseers that are morphing. It's the 3 Broodlords, and They already have 4 Overseers. Hyun just building Overseers like a madman. And well, yeah, there's Broodlords. There's 3 Broods coming in. Does he have any more just anywhere on the field? No. Okay, so with 3 Broodlords, it's not like the A move Death Ball, but it is like a poke to death. It's like you can just poke someone endlessly until they just lose their minds, just go completely insane. Does clean up that wave of Locust. Zealot run by moves in, but dude, there's so many spine crawlers. This is absurd. This Zealot's just getting poked to death. But you can see those little electrical shocks of them just getting pulled apart all over the place. And look at this ball. God, there's so many Overseers. What is this? What am I looking at? Oh, he's going to try to move in on some of these Swarm Hosts, but the wave of Locust popping out right now. He's going to need Clutch Storms to shut this down. Gets a feedback off on the Infestors. A great engagement so far for HuK. If he can get those Stalkers under the Broodlords, that'd be absolutely huge. He could blink up, and that's it for the Swarm Host, man. He's knocking out only 10 Swarm Hosts remain. That will not be enough to stop this many Colossi from just punching straight through. And these Archons, man, there are so many Corruptors, but if these Archons get under those Corruptors, that could be it. That could be curtains for Hyun in this game. And I think HuK now, he wants to try to push in towards this left base. He's saying, you know what? I couldn't get in with all my Zealot run-bys, but I will get in now. I have enough units. It's time. He needs to be careful of those Fungals, though. One Fungal in the Wave of Locust will kill everything here for HuK. Most importantly, he's been clearing up the creep tumors. We see the vision for Hyun really starting to dissipate here towards this bottom area, and that gives a little bit more breathing room for HuK to kind of dance around. It's harder to scout these run-bys coming in from the Zealots. And, you know, keeping this 5th base alive, very important. This is what HuK needed to do, and he has done it in stellar fashion. We do have the +3 missile attacks finally coming in, the +3 Flyer Carapace, 5 more Infestors, 3 more Broodlords. And HuK, he's not even worried about it. As long as he can keep the Broodlord count from getting too damn high, he'll be totally fine. He did kill those earlier Broodlords off, so 3 Broodlords, not really a big threat. He can blink the Stalkers under them once he kills off everything else. The Colossi destroy the Broodlings, but he's not being forced into going for something like Stargate tech, which would really suck versus this many Corruptors with the Infestors. And now, we could see an engagement potentially come down here. The fungal growth is going to be key. There are not, well, I think actually, never mind. Now there are more than enough Swarm Hosts to actually kill him with 1 wave of Locust. 21 Swarm Hosts on the field. That is a lot of Locusts that are going to be popping out with every wave. Zealot run by attempted, but there's just so much here. Fungal growth will go down, and the Broodlords, the free energy units are now finally going to start becoming very cost effective. And, oh, is HuK going to be able to catch these Swarm Hosts out of position? If he can get in on top of these, that would be absolutely catastrophic for Hyun. The rest of his army is out of position. The Mass Changeling wave is coming in, and there's the Storms on the Swarm Host. He's actually storming his own Archons, really lowering the shield to them, but a lot of these Swarm Hosts do die. The Colossi need to step back away from these infested Terrans, though. The Archons, oh, they're being destroyed. He needs to get these Archons under the Corruptors. He is not able to do so, and he will lose all of his Colossi for that, and he's adding on the Fleet Beacon, he's adding on additional Stargates, but is it going to be enough at this point? He's lost a lot, and oh man, letting those Archons take the Storms and eat the Locust shots really hurt him. Those Corruptors were stacked quite hard, but 2 Zealots are going to be able to run in, and you're just going to try to kill this Zerg base on their own, man. He is so pissed off at this Evolution Chamber, it's not even funny. There's no more upgrades to get. There's literally no upgrades. He's got 3-3-3. The Evo Chambers, he's just killing them for posterity. He's just like, man, I'm so angry right now. I could just bang my fists against this. And the Infestors will come out. Infested Terrans will get thrown. The Stalkers do blink in, trying to do some form of damage. But, well, we do have Tempest coming out for HuK. He's going to be looking to get the cost-effective units as well. Now, the best supporting units for the Tempest are going to, of course, be those Void Rays to kill the Corruptors, as well as the Photon Cannons, in all honesty, to keep any units from getting too close. And HuK, does he run out of space to blink? This one Stalker, the hero, will he be able to escape? No. An untimely demise for a young soul. And this has been quite the scrappy game number 2 here out of these players. I'm actually really happy to see HuK playing out such a long game. And he's mining out, though, and that's one of the things that are going to become rough. Hyun's had these bases for a long time. He's actually mined out on a lot of his bases, but the Swarm Host coming in, trying to just poke away. And these Zealots, they just can't do too much. HuK needs to secure himself a better forward position, because right now it's just mass waves of Changelings. I feel like Hyun has more Zealots than HuK at this point. But Yeah, he's just doing his best to hold on here. So the Tempest, great choice, but he will need to get Colossi because he cannot afford to just burn storms on the Swarm Host Locust all day long. He won't be able to afford that. Once he runs out of energy, then of course he'll just lose the game. So the Zealots looking for an opportunity to attack, but look at Hyun! Jesus, how are you gonna run Zealots into this? It's like the Great Wall of like Spine-Gina or something. Like, this is insane. And now he's gonna be pushing in. Fourth and overcharge is activated on this top right base. So many Locusts getting chewed apart here, but Hyun, HuK will not stop trying to find a point of entry where he can attack. But I mean, what is he really gonna hurt now running into the main base? There's more Locusts pressing in. Hyun's got so many Zealots. This is absurd. And now these Stalkers just trying to run around. He's trying to find somewhere to poke. But HuK is building his supply. That's so important. Oh, he blinks on top of the Swarm Host, taking out one of these Spore Crawlers. But without an Observer, he can't really do too much of this. And there's so many Infestors. God, what the hell? There's 26 Infestors on the field. This is... What the... this game. What has this game become? And now he's going to be able to break these rocks. He finally kills the rocks. Hooray! And now there's not really anything here to kill. There's just some more Spine Crawlers. And that's, well, I guess the Zealots are cost effective versus them in small numbers, but there's no way. God. The Zealots and Stalkers try to blink in on top. He's going to get on top of some of these Infestors, but they will burrow. And, well, now it's just Locusts, and that's, yeah, without an Observer, you can't really do anything. And, well, I say Observer. There's, like, 11. There's 11, no, there's, like, 13 Overseers with these Corruptors. All Observers will insta-die. There are some Tempests, there are some Colossi, but this is going to be really, really difficult to deal with this. And well, here we go, a ton of Infested Terrans thrown down. He wants to take this base. The Storms will drop on the Infested Terrans, and in all honesty, there's not a crazy amount of Broodlords. If he can kill these Infested Terrans off with the Storms and the Colossi and protect this base, oh no, now he's going to abduct the... This is where things get really sour. All the Tempests being eradicated. And now the Corruptors get free reign on everything else. The Stalkers aren't going to be enough. He's left with pure Stalker versus these Broodlords. There's Infestors will still get their energy back. There's still Swarm Hosts on the field. And I think this is where HuK finally gets his back snapped in half by Hyun. There's just not enough here to deal with this. Hyun just playing magnificently with his control, his jockeying for positional play. At no point did Hyun allow HuK to get any real harass in this entire game long. How many drones has HuK killed? Yeah, 10 drones in the course of this 40-minute long game. Just fantastic defensive play by Hyun as he built up this death ball. And in all reality, HuK had a good couple of chances to be able to take this, but some of those fights, man, it's just Hyun just had some really fantastic control, and I don't really think you can blame either player. This has been a fantastic game so far, but HuK below 100 supplies, trying to get out Void Rays. You know what? Void Rays are pretty damn good in Heart of the Swarm, but I don't think they're that good. Missile Arranger, he is microing his heart out. He does not want to be knocked down to the loser's match, where he would actually end up facing off against Gosu User, so you'd have another PvZ waiting for him. And, oh, the Fungals will seal in the last of his standing army. HuK losing these Stalkers. I don't think there's too much else that he can do. Another Zealot run by will go in, but I mean, what do you target at this point? Your opponent's got 2K in the bank. He's got a lot of at least, I mean, I guess he doesn't have too much economy left since he's mined out. He did have a lot of bases, but he's mined most of them out. But you just can't kill that army. It's way too cost effective. There's too many Swarm Hosts, and I don't think HuK has any Observers either. No. So that's also been another problem this game, is he just hasn't been able to actually get he hasn't been able to kill. Every time HuK won a fight, he didn't have any Observers to kill off the Swarm Host. And I think that's how I would say this game went so south. There was a really great fight earlier on, but HuK, it's so hard. It's so hard when your opponent just makes mass Overseers like this. And now we see even more Spine Crawlers. Like, I don't even know. HuK, he's doing it. He's just taking a little bit of time to digest this game. I don't think he was feeling too great about the way that this turned out. Maybe he was expecting a little bit more, but it was a fantastic game on both players' parts. Continuing to press forward with these Locusts. HuK, he does have 4 Void Rays out. The problem is his opponent has like 50 Corruptors, so it's going to be a tough fight to win. Okay, 28 Corruptors versus 5 Void Rays. Void Rays are good. And I would say Void Rays are good against Corruptors, but there's also Fungal Growth and Infested Terrans. And there's the That's it. That's game here. Hyun is going to win this match 2-0 over Evil Genius's HuK. Fantastic play from both of these guys. And that is... Well, that's going to be it for match number 2 today. Coming up next, we are going to have... So, Hyun versus MMA is going to be the third... You're going to play our winners match here at the Russian Star League Group F. And, yeah. So, really great play here by these players. And we are going to jump into that next match, guys, as soon as it's available. Hyun versus MMA coming up in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.